You're now listening to the smoothest podcast in the world, Cognac Small Talk, hosted by the connoisseur Smooth, Anthony Jr.
What's up? I'm Anthony Jr. and welcome to Cognac Small Talk. It's a podcast series on how I personally feel we should be moving as creatives and business entrepreneurs. Before we get started, I want to let you guys know we're in Vancouver, home of the illustrious architecture, expensive condos, beautiful women, and the fly guys whenever we come in the building. This is a kind of a big interview for me because I've been trying to link with you for a while.
We've been talking for half a year.
Yeah. But for those that don't know who my next guest is, he is the owner of Dipped. He is owner of Vancouver Original, which is a streetwear brand, and he also has a night at Number 5 Orange. It's called Move Something. I am here with Mr. Martini. How you feeling today, man?
Good, man. Good. I'm happy to be sitting here finally.
I know, man. We've been talking about it for a while, man.
Finally get to chop it up.
Yeah, man. How was the sneaker release, man?
Good. Yeah, the Yeezy 350 Lundmark this morning. It was good. It was crazy. For some reason, the kids really were hyped about this one. It was lined up since like 5 p.m. last night, and we haven't had a lineup like that for a minute. So yeah, they were gone right away.
Nice. Yeah, you know, it's so crazy because, you know, the way that I knew about you was because every time we come to Vancouver, even my guy to know, we're always stopping by Dipped.
Yeah.
Every single time. It's either whether we're trying to buy some new clothes or buy some new shoes or something before we go out for, weekend night. You know what I'm saying?
Seattle cats were always showed me love for real from like day one, man. There's always like few crews that I knew, they'd come up to Vancouver and party and stuff. And they'd always show me that love. So respects to Seattle, all my Seattle people.
Yeah, man, appreciate you, man. So, just to start off everything, man, I always ask everybody, when was their first time they had an actual glass of cognac? I'll actually pour you up.
First time? You know what's funny? Is I was never a huge cognac guy, and then hanging out with people from Toronto, man, that's all they drink. I was out there one summer and I had no choice to start liking it. So I'm about it now, though. So it's good. Timing's perfect on this.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. Yo, let's go ahead and take a little sip of this real quick.
Salute.
Cheers, man. I tell people all the time that, they got to just start drinking more dark liquor instead of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Just because
I made it. That got me on, even like rum and stuff. Like, I was always a vodka dude.
Yeah.
But I'm down with the brown now.
Down with the brown. Okay.
Yeah, I got flipped.
All right, so to start off, man, originally you're from Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, you are the owner of a streetwear and sneaker boutique. It's called Dipped.
Yeah.
So tell me what got you into streetwear. Tell me what you were doing when you were starting up and what you started doing prior to.
For sure, yeah. I actually got into it when I was at university. I went to university over on Vancouver Island at UVic.
Mm-hmm.
And me and a friend of mine met this guy actually from Seattle, Concave Dave. He was good friends with Mike D from the Beastie Boys.
Oh, nice.
And he'd started this brand called X New, kind of a spin-off X Large that the Beastie Boys used to do. And so we started. It was kind of like he had some basically, pardon me. It was a lot of like he'd find vintage stuff like Lacoste and what else was some of this like Polo and I'm having a mental blank. Anyway, stuff like that, and he put a logo on it, and then he had he rehashed a bunch of old like logos for tees. Anyway, we started. Long story short, I'm making it real long here.
No, you're good. No,
we started importing it and kind of distributing it around Canada, and then he kind of burned us for some money, and so we ended up getting we took him to court, yada yada. We ended up getting the rights to the name in Canada.
Nice.
And my partner at the time, we weren't really making too much money, but I was like, I really wanted to be in that business. I always knew I wanted to kind of be in clothing and retail and stuff. And he kind of bowed out and went to work for his dad, and I stuck with it. And so I got into the clothing business, had a couple clothing brands, Extra New. I changed it from X New to Extra New Worldwide Apparel.
Okay.
And then I also had a women's brand called Scenery.
Oh, nice. I didn't even know that. All right.
Yeah, that was some old school, little known stuff right there. Anyway, I was selling it to one of the stores I sold it to was a guy had opened up a hip hop shop in North Van.
Yeah.
Called FWUH. Fuck what you heard.
I was just
so he was moving downtown, and I could tell he was kind of struggling a bit and stuff. And I was looking to get into retail because I was struggling too. I was selling my clothes across Canada, but I wasn't making enough to reinvest and live and everything. You know what I mean? And so I approached him, and long story short, we ended up becoming partners.
Nice.
In Fuck What You Heard, and so I did that for a while, and then it kind of was good, but it was a real like. You know, we sold records and b-boy videos and spray paint. So like we were like a real, you know, all the elements, like a real hip hop shop. It was dope. It was pretty legendary times down there. But I saw it was kind of like, you know, the late '90s, and I could see that you know, the whole like hip hop urban, as it was called then, you know, clothing was starting to pop off. You know, you already had Fat Farm, and you know, you had the FUBUs, and the Rockaware came out, and you know, Nietzsche, all that stuff. And so I was like, you know what, I need to step this up. You know what I mean? I want to open up more of like a boutique that's a little more like, you know, kind of appeals to build broader audience, but still with that core kind of hip hop, urban vibe. And I wanted to be kind of uptown because back then, you know, Robson and Granville area was like the epicenter of shopping in Vancouver, right? So I knew I wanted to be close to that. Anyway, sold my half to my partner at FWH and in like May, and then opened up Dipped in 6 or 7 months later in December of 2000.
Okay, so I know when I was doing some research on you, you used to have Dipped called Dipped Urban Hookups.
Dipped Urban Hookups.
Like what was the transition with that? Like, how did that change?
Just the whole, like, it was kind of, I think I changed it just to Dipped in 2007. I think it was. I dropped the Urban Hookups. It was just kind of getting a bit dated, you know what I mean? It was kind of, it was a transition from, you know, it's all really the same thing, urban, streetwear, you know what I mean? It's just, then it was kind of moving towards streetwear, so I was like, okay, the Urban Hookups is kind of getting a little played. Let's just shorten it down to Dipped.
When did you actually do that? Was that like a couple years ago, or how long ago was that?
No, 2007. I think I took the Urban Hookups off. So yeah, quite a while ago.
So how does that work with like when you file it as a business and then you got to change the name and all that type of stuff?
I didn't change anything. Some of my invoices, like Nike, my Nike invoices still come and say Dipped Urban Hookups on the top of them. I never bother changing anything, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what
cool.
I mean?
Yeah, that makes
it's really
sense.
just whatever's on the sign.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So tell me a little bit about the Van City original. Like, how did that start? Especially with now you having Dipped and everything.
Yeah,
like,
that actually started at Fuck What You Heard, and it's a story I've told a number of times. But no, it's a good story though, because it came off the back of one of our shop tees. So I was still making them with the extra new logo on them. Actually, our shop tees, but FWUH on the front, our logo. And then in the back, it said Van City Original since 1994, just kind of like Van City being the nickname for Vancouver. Yeah. Our store being a really original store in the year we started. And I was like, damn, I kind of like the sound of that, Van City Original. I'm like, I'm going to make a clothing brand called that. And I got this graffiti artist, Virus, to did our first logo. And then I used to just kind of, I made a bunch of shirts and sold them and gave most of them away. And then I just kind of make stuff now and then whenever I felt like it. And then that continued on at Dipped. And then I guess probably around 2002, 2003, I did a whole collection of like hip-hop logo flips. So I did like Run DMC. Yeah. I did everything from Onyx to Outkast. We did the Beastie Boys. We did EPMD. We did a whole bunch.
Nice,
like and they're really dope, like really well done flips. Like obviously Van City. Yeah. And it did really well, but that UnDMC, I call it the UnDMC logo now. The Van City UnDMC logo. But that one just, people were just loving it. And it was just supposed to be a one-time thing. And then people just, it sold out and people kept asking for it, for it. So it kind of became like the the bread and butter of the brand, you know.
Nice.
And now I like
Yeah.
to kind of equate it to the I Heart New York of Vancouver. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
So,
There's a lot of people that always say that you have to create culture around the streetwear brands. That's where at times a lot of people say that streetwear brands are unsuccessful because you don't build culture around the streetwear. So what would you say was that process for you when you started?
Well, when I started, I just wanted to. It was just a way for like people from Vancouver. I wasn't really thinking past Vancouver.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is dope. People can wear shirts with the city's nickname on it. You know what I mean? Like, and then as it grew, you know, we started, you know, seeing, okay, we should, you know, I should like, you know, make this a little bit more than just like, you know, a shirt that to rep your city. You know, it was. I mean, that's always been the basis of it, but you know, we're trying to start getting a little bit more involved with different things in the city and trying to make it a bit more. I guess I just started trying to make it more of a brand than just like a hobby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started seeing the potential and stuff. So we started, you know, kind of treating it a little bit more like a brand, and I started, you know, kind of putting little smaller collections together and stuff. And just slowly growing it, really.
Yeah, because, you know, there's people that, you know, I have a couple of friends that just believe that you just need to slap anything onto a T-shirt and anything and then get your friends to wear it, you know, probably give it to them for free or whatever, and that's pretty much it. You make a couple $dollars and all that, but
that's not
it's
really
much more intricate than that.
Well, there's not, and then, like we do, you know, we try and partner up with like a lot of local businesses and artists and stuff like that. And that just to make it a little bit more inclusive and make people, like, you know, give it almost some ownership for the city, you know what I mean? So people aren't feeling like they're just wearing some shirt that some guy printed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was pretty organic. It's been a long, slow sort of process. Just because in the early days it was just, like I said, more of a hobby, but saw some potential there, and you know, it's been good. It's been
nice.
It probably helped me stay in retail as long as I've been, to be honest. So.
Nice. You know, what I noticed different about you and Dipped and Van City Original, people usually, when they have a clothing brand, a street brand, they usually get it to the potential where everybody has it, and then from there, once they open up a store, they open up that store strictly for the brand. But for you, it was a little bit different because you have the streetwear brand, everybody likes it, you build culture around it, you opened up Dipped, but you don't only sell Van City Original, but you sell other streetwear brands inside of it. So what was that? What was the reason behind that?
I mean, Dipped was always, like Van City was just like, you know, a couple T-shirts, couple sweatshirts here and there, right? It was never, and then it just, over the years, it's slowly grown and grown and grown, and taking up more square footage in the store, and now it's like pretty much half my store. Yeah. And to be honest, I probably down the road will transition into just having a Van City Original store.
Nice.
Like we're talking about that in the next little while, just having like some standalone, like just real small little boutiques around the Lower Mainland. Is kind of the plan. We'll see what happens with that, but it's I like it because you can kind of control it, right? You know what I mean? You're making what, you know, we can move pretty quick with stuff as far as production and that, and it's just, you don't have to, you know, you're just giving yourself the money as opposed to a bunch of other companies. You know what I mean? Like ideally, I'd like to have a Van City store, but with all the sneakers still. That'd be perfect.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Perfect. So that's kind of like, if you've been watching the store, it's slowly like more and more Van City stuff in there. Yeah. So that's kind of the direction I've been taking a little bit.
Do you ever think it's a little bit of a conflict of interest because you're trying to push more people to maybe buy your clothes versus the other stuff, or what would you say?
No, because it kind of like the customer that's coming in for the Van City Original stuff is usually coming in for that. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of like hard selling going on on that side of it as far as, you know, the people on the floor. I think most people, they come in, they're like, oh, you know, where can I get that sweatshirt? Or we'll have a new drop. Like we just dropped all our new summer stuff, and there's some really good stuff in there. And we did a bunch of collabs and whatnot.
Nice.
And that. So actually, we've got don't know if I'm jumping ahead here or what, but we've got a pop-up shop in Top Shop right now.
Oh.
Yeah, in the Hudson Bay. So that's pretty huge. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. In down in Pacific Center.
How did that happen?
Yeah, that was. We've been wanting to get in the Bay. We're like, oh, we know we could sell a ton of stuff in there, but we didn't really have nothing was really coming to fruition. And then we got a call from Top Shop, and they're like, we'd like you guys to do a pop-up in our store.
Nice.
We're like, word? Like, okay. And they're like, this was like probably May or something. And they're like, we want you to open like July 1st. We're like, damn. Like, so we spent like probably under 3 months just frantically producing, designing and producing enough new stuff and enough product in general to make sure it's stocked. Because we don't know how much is going to sell and stuff. So it's been off to a good start, and we're talking to them already about it becoming a permanent thing. So
that's dope. Is there any other places in Vancouver that sells Van City Original aside from Dipped?
Yeah, we've got we sell it actually. We just started kind of wholesaling it. Like I always just had for a long time I had the mentality of like, okay, if people want it, they got to come to Dipped. And then like they'll come for that, and then they'll see everything else we have. That was kind of my thing, right? So just force people to, if you want it, that's where you got to come. But it got to a point where we needed to start kind of getting it out there a bit more, and so we sell it to just a handful. Probably got about 10 accounts. We sell it as far up as like up in Whitehorse. Up in the Yukon territories, like up there, there's a store on Vancouver Island that carries it, and then we got a few stores in the Lower Mainland that carry it and stuff. A couple, we were selling to Zoomies for a couple seasons, but we pulled out of that after a couple seasons. We thought we had kind of done what we needed to do there, but it's been just really been that's been a lot of my focus lately is growing the brand really, because that's kind of where I see the opportunities and the growth these days.
Nice. What would you say is a big misconception about yourself on the streetwear brand? I think I'll say that because when me and my boys we come to Vancouver, they say that a lot of the people can't dress here, or they say that fashion isn't the biggest thing in Vancouver and stuff like that.
Casual.
Everybody's super casual.
Lululemon sweats. And,
but for you, like I've always seen, like you're a fly guy. You've always been dressed very well. What would you say is a misconception, maybe about yourself, maybe about the streetwear in Vancouver, or what would you say?
I've always been into clothes, always, like from like real young, from the start, from like grade 7. I kind of really started getting into it, and I actually grew up in a small town of like 15,000 people in northern British Columbia.
Oh wow!
Before I came down to Vancouver, and but I was lucky because my parents would. I got off track a bit, but I'll get back.
Oh no! Go ahead.
My parents would. Luckily, I got to. We'd come down and spend like a month here in the summer, and I traveled a bit and stuff, so I got to kind of see what was out there and stuff, and I'd kind of pick up fashion cues, and I'd go home and rock stuff up in this small town that I grew in, and everyone would just be hating on me and dissing me and whatever, and then like 3 months later they'd be wearing the shit themselves. You know what I mean? I'd be on the next thing. But I don't know. I just always had a passion for it like that, and Vancouver, it's weird. It's not like there's all the high fashion here.
Yeah.
But in general, I know what you mean. It's just a very casual atmosphere here, and people and it's also, I think it comes down a lot to the cost of living too.
Yeah.
You go out, this is how I always looked at New York and LA. You go to LA, dudes are wearing a white T-shirt and Dickies, and they got a crazy whip, right?
Yeah.
You go to New York, dudes are wearing $10,000 worth of clothes and taking the subway. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that, and so I feel like out here people kind of put their monetary focus maybe more on living and
architecture,
homes and paying the rent and stuff like that. But now you've got such a big influx of foreigners coming in with tons of cash.
Yeah.
And these kids are just like buying out like the crazy high end stuff, like we were saying earlier, like you see these kids and they're 16-year-old kids with like 10 grand worth of clothes on. It's like and they don't know how to wear it. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
but they they spent the money on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a bit weird. Like and like with the L.A. New York kind of thing, it's kind of similar with Toronto. You go out to Toronto. And people, you go out at night, and people are dressed up a lot more.
Nice.
People are like, got more, a little more flash and and a little more, looking a little more marvelous. Here it's like people. I mean, I'm guilty of it too, man. I've gone to the club in a pair of sweatpants, man. I still make it look fly, but, you know what I mean? But it's just the casual atmosphere of Vancouver, man.
I think it's the same in Seattle too.
Super late, but very similar. Yeah. It's funny because you'd think that Vancouver and Seattle be more similar than they actually are. Like there's a lot, but there is definitely some similarities. Like the whole Pacific Northwest and just that whole laid back vibe, right? Definitely, right up the West Coast, all the way to LA and stuff. It's like that. But I think that contributes to the kind of it's kind of weird fashion here in a way.
Yeah, because it's like
but the kids, I think because of all the people that have come from overseas and stuff, it's like, and with all that money and like we were talking about all the like resale stores and how many there are in Vancouver and stuff. And there's obviously a market for it, but I think it's like people are like really hype out here. Like they're on to the next thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're harsh hype beasts out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go out to Toronto, you still see some hood dudes. You know what I mean? Like straight up, like wearing like big tees and basketball jerseys and stuff like that. You know, you don't really see that out here too much. Maybe a bit in the burbs, but
see, in Atlanta, it was like I remember when I came to Seattle, it was like everybody was super casual, and then when I was in Atlanta, everybody dresses up just because they know that they're gonna be seen in some shape or form. Whether through music, entertainment, all that type of stuff. They just want to be in a spot where they're probably gonna be seen.
Oh,
so
totally. I remember that. I remember I went out there for the All-Star weekend. What was it, 2002, 2003, or something like that? Like way back. Michael Jordan's last All-Star game, actually, I think it was. But that was the first time I saw dudes like straight up wearing like basketball jerseys, like Mitchell Ness with the mink in Bentleys and stuff. I was like, whoa, that's dope, man. That's dope. Like,
that's lit.
Man. Right? So then, so I came back here and I got myself a mink and I was stunting on that whole Atlanta vibe, man. Boiling my ass off in the club.
That's what's up.
I mean, every it's regional. There's always a bit of a vibe regionally of fashion. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we got all the high end fashion, but I just find that people don't really know how to wear it. They're wearing it just to say they're wearing
just the
whatever,
brand.
You know what I mean? But they don't know how to wear it.
Yeah.
Like I could go into Topshop and buy stuff I think and look fresher than these kids wearing like $5,000 outfits.
That's what I.
It's how you rock it. It's how you rock it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what you're rocking.
Yeah, that's what I respect about you, man. Because you're just able to do it nice, man. So
and actually, it was funny when I went out to Atlanta. We there was some shit. There's weather. We had to land in Savannah.
Yeah.
So I was by myself. I was meeting some people out there. And there was all these other people that were kind of in the same boat. Yeah. And these dudes came up. They're from, I think they're from like North Carolina or somewhere. Yeah. They're from like some hot boy baller dudes. Yeah. And they're like, yo, dude, like, fly, bro. They're like, you know what? We're gonna rent a car and just drive there. You want to hop in with us? and so I did. It was the dopest thing, man. These guys had like these jewelry cases with. Oh man, these guys are like bawling. Wow. But it was the coolest thing. But they just came up to me at the airport. They're like, yo, bro, like we like your style. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what's funny.
Yeah, they're like, it's different, man, but it's dope. Yeah. I can't remember what I was wearing, but it was funny.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was a cool read for a good story.
So with right now we're in this era of fast fashion, and social media has been a big contribution to it, whether it be for positive or for negative. Yeah. Would you say that social media has been, or Instagram, or however you use social media, has been a positive contribution to the growth of your brand? Both
for
Dipped
sure.
And Vancity Original?
Definitely. You have to do it, right?
Yeah.
You have to do it. The only thing is it's like, it's kind of like an added expense now because you
Yeah.
have to do it, and
Yeah.
and there's an art to it. Not everyone can just
Yeah.
like I can throw posts up all day, but am I
Yeah.
going to be hitting the like there's all the analytics
the-
and
yeah.
I don't know all that.
Yeah.
I can take a picture and post it and write a funny little comment, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I can't so you got to hire someone to do that.
Yeah.
And that's another cost to the business. Before you printed up some flyers, maybe you slapped some posters on the street. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was nothing. Now you got to pay a guy like a salary to post
run
shit. You know what I
social
mean?
media, yeah.
But it's like we were touching on earlier off camera. Like it's definitely a positive and negative in my mind. Like it's
Yeah.
definitely positive. I mean, the advertising, you can hit a huge audience.
Yeah.
Real easy and stuff. So it's very good in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of fucked up fashion a little bit just because it made it too accessible. Like people, just a bunch of
yeah.
copycats. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if you got the money, you can look like Yeezy looked yesterday. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Right?
Yeah.
You can look like Travis Scott's wearing Subi jeans and the ones and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna just go. I'll find that and I'll buy it. No,
Yeah.
I'm cool like Travis Scott. Nah, you're not cool. Like
Yeah.
that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just biting. That's not your own style. That's
Yeah.
not style. That's not fashion. That's just you're just stealing a look, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
that shit's corny to me.
Yeah, would you say
But-
that? Would you say that it's helped you in a way to grow the Van?
Oh,
Studio?
definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a great way of marketing. I mean, it's just like I
Nice.
said, you can
Yeah.
reach a way bigger audience, and
Yeah.
now they can kind of like set up sales through it and everything like
Yeah.
that. It's definitely beneficial.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I was reading that in regarded to apparel brand engagement on social media, that for the average interactions per post per 1,000 followers, the place that gets the most traction for fashion is Instagram with 13.71%. After that is LinkedIn.
Oh wow, LinkedIn's
LinkedIn.
really.
But this is the thing: the drastic change is crazy because
Yeah.
Instagram was 13.71%. LinkedIn is 1.12%.
But LinkedIn's more than Facebook, eh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And Pinterest is 0.49%. Facebook is 0.43%. Twitter is 0.17%. So it's
interesting.
yeah. So it's,
I didn't know that. I would have said it was. I would have said it if you'd have asked me that and said
Yeah.
put these 5 different social medias in order. I probably would have said Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. I would have been like that. I would have been bass backwards.
Yeah, it's so crazy because when I was looking at that, I was like,
Yeah,
"Yo,
that's
is this
interesting.
right? Is this
Yeah,
right?"
that's
But
crazy.
because I'm more active on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah.
But me not being necessarily having or hosting any type of fashion brand,
Yeah.
I can see why Twitter is like the lowest, because it's like
Yeah,
everybody's
I guess
tweeting,
that for fashion. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess if you really
everybody's
think about
tweeting and stuff, but it's like
Yeah,
nobody's really being able to kind of see.
Well, and
what
once
exactly
you got the
it
photo,
is.
right? You should
Yeah.
take a picture. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing, I mean, like I said, you might have to, in my case, I have to pay a guy to do the social media.
Yeah.
It's also a time thing, right? There's only
Yeah.
it's time consuming.
Yeah,
I had to do it for a while when
It is.
we were kind of in between guys, and I'm like, oh, man, this
Yeah.
is painful. Like, damn, I'm good for like a post every
Yeah,
week, man.
yeah.
I'm putting up like 2 a day,
But
man.
it's split up, it's a lot.
But for the average person, it's free. It's free.
Yeah.
It's free marketing.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. I mean, it's for people starting out in fashion or any business. It's a way for them to get it out there. When back in the day they couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? They would have had to do radio ads or fucking whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Would you say so? As far as like, I have another one that in regards to personalization. So I was looking at some analytics, and it was saying that according to the data presented by Nosto on the recent Growing Your Online Funnel webinar, personalization is the leading factor to e-commerce at large. So it also said that 43% of purchases are influenced by personalized recommendations or promotions. So that kind of goes back to the Instagram thing. So most people, I've realized that like there'll be times, it's crazy, there'll be times that I'll be talking about something, or I'll be searching on Google or something like that, and then what I was Googling is on Instagram. And then,
I swear to God, I've thought of stuff before.
Yeah.
I've gone on Instagram and that shit's on there. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even like type this anywhere.
Yeah.
I thought that.
Yeah.
Shit. What the fuck?
And it's like, and it's crazy because like, you'll see it at a point where it's like,
It's
you can
crazy.
find it, and it's even probably significantly cheaper than where you would have got it somewhere else. Because there are people that are like, even the mimic stuff, like the stuff that is like maybe it's like a shirt that looks like it's Gucci or whatever, and then you were looking up Gucci, and then after that'll come up, and then you can find somewhere that has like for like 30%, 40% off. You can buy it, and you'll be good.
For sure.
That's crazy.